Gardyloo Weirdos. It's Thursday. My name is Sarah, and I am joined, as always, by...
I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Chris.
And this podcast is for weirdos.
What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about Mary King's Close in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Okay.
And I will explain what that greeting was in a minute.
Okay.
Have you heard of this place?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Remember when you were like, I need you to write this up on the board? And I went, what is that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I've seen paranormal content of this place.
Mm-hmm.
I have listened to at least one podcast episode about it.
Yeah.
It was on Ghost Hunters International. I don't remember what podcast covered it. Finding information about it online, so hard. So fucking hard. Nightmare. So I've kind of like pieced together as much as I could about what this place is, why it is the way that it is, and then the hauntings. It is a haunted location.
Okay.
Now, this is going to be a short episode. There's not a ton.
That's okay.
Because I think this is a place that you can go to as like a historical tour. Mm-hmm. And on their website, like they don't have a ton of the history. They've kind of scrubbed it. They want you to come on the tour.
Yeah. Which
is fair and reasonable. So we'll go through what is a close is like the first kind of thing. Then we're going to talk about the history of this place. And then we're going to go through this specific close, like the history of Edinburgh, kind of. And then Ghosts and is what I've called the last section.
Great.
And then we have reviews from TripAdvisor.
Great.
Okay. Love that.
I
love a TripAdvisor.
We love a TripAdvisor review. And we'll talk about what Gardyloo means down the line a little bit.
Yeah. So
what is a close? This is a very specific Scottish thing, specifically in Edinburgh. So they exist elsewhere, and they are called other things in other places. Uh-huh. But a close is specifically a thing in Scotland. It is a Scots word.
Scotland.
So in Old Town Edinburgh, it consisted originally of the city's main street, which is now called the Royal Mile, and small alleyways and courtyards that led off of that to the north and south. Okay. They were usually named for a memorable occupant of one of the apartments reached by common interest, or common entrance, I can't read, or by a trade that was common on that close. So
on
the
that
close,
side street.
That side street. So a close is a side street.
Okay.
It's a very narrow alleyway. That a close specifically, because it is spelt CLOSE, like close, has a gate at either end. So it's private property. The only people who can get into the close are people who live off of that close or work off of that close. There are other things that are similar to this that are called entries, courts, or wynds, and the wynd is spelt WYND.
Okay.
Those do not have gates.
Okay.
So entries, courts, and wynds are not gated.
Okay.
So those are like a standard alleyway.
Yeah.
But these alleys are really crazy because of the way that Edinburgh was built, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And a lot of these closes are basically staircases the whole way because of the construction of the city of Edinburgh. It's on a giant fucking hill.
I might have seen like pictures and videos of people in these.
Yeah. So now that's like what a close is in general. Are these like alleyways off of the main road? They're very narrow alleyways with gates. There are also wynds. There are also entries. There are also courts. Those do not have gates. So history. Old Town Edinburgh. The Scots of that is Auld Tune. Edinburgh. Also, if anyone comes into our comments and says that Scots is not a language, you're wrong. It's not a dialect. It is its own distinct language. So the Old Town is the oldest part of Scotland's capital city of Edinburgh. And it has preserved much of its medieval street plan and many Reformation era buildings. It kind of just like built new stuff on top of the old stuff.
Cool.
Together with the 18th and 19th century New Town, it forms part of a protected UNESCO World Heritage Site, which
That's
is pretty cool. So the Royal Mile name was coined in the early 20th century for the main street of Old Town, which runs on a downward slope from Edinburgh Castle at the top of the hill to Holyrood Palace and ruined Holyrood Abbey at the bottom of the hill.
Okay.
And so
Did they do a race where you could die because you fall down the hill and roll and then die for a mile?
no, that's the cheese run. That's in Wales,
Oh.
I think.
I think so.
But so that part of the hill is not super steep. There's a spine that comes down. There is a very steep hill that goes down from that, and that's where these closes go. Is they either go up from the road or down from the road on a very, very steep incline.
Got it.
Main spine runs east-west. These closes run north-south.
Okay.
Okay.
So the street layout is typical of old quarters of a lot of European cities. So it's very like east-west, north-south roads. In the like city center, you get windy roads later down in the construction, but in this early time where it's like
We're grid
Edinburgh
system.
Castle, we're doing it. It's a grid system.
Yeah.
I get way less lost in a grid system, so it's
Right.
I
fine.
love a grid system.
It's also like super picturesque in Edinburgh because there's a castle on top of a rocky crag, and which is an extinct volcano, and then the main street runs down this ridge from that castle.
Right.
That's so cool.
The crag and tail landform was created during an ice age. During the last ice age, I don't know why I said and. I know which one. When receding glaciers scoured across this part of Scotland. So they were pushing the soft soil aside, but then this like harder crag of the volcanic rock remained behind. That hilltop was the earliest part of the city. Originally it was a small city, and then they built Edinburgh Castle there. And then slowly it kind of like grew out from the castle, and they were like the easiest way down is the path of least resistance, which is this spine down the mountain. Easily defended, which is great for them. And then they built a man-made lock. So there's a marshland to the south of the mountain, and to the north they made a lock, conveniently called Norlock to the north.
The North Lock.
The North Lock. And then access to the town at this point in its construction, so early, was by means of various gates in the city walls. Barely any of that remains to this day. But the castle's still there, and a lot of this original street structure is still there.
Very cool.
These cute little closes that kind of come off of it eventually became named roads. And so in some areas they still exist. They're like a maintained structure. There are new ones that have been added. There are old ones that have gone away. Like if you look up like list of closes in Edinburgh, it can be ever changing because they are building new ones, taking old ones down. This is still a functional piece of infrastructure within the city of Edinburgh.
Neat.
Also, Edinburgh was a very tall city for the era. They were building very tall buildings because they had such little floor plan to work with because of this mountain and crag that they're building on. So there was lots of building up, and you had these like high-rise residential buildings that were multi-story dwellings that became apartment type things in as early as the 16th century.
Wow.
So 1500s, we're building fucking skyscrapers, quotes, for the time.
Yeah.
In
So
Edinburgh. Go ahead.
what would that be, like 6 stories?
6 stories. There were, I think 6 is the like highest that I saw. Again, getting information about this is insane.
Yeah, I can imagine.
A lot of the buildings were destroyed in the Great Fire of Edinburgh in 1824, and also a lot of information about these buildings was lost in the Great Fire of Edinburgh in 1824. And then some of like the rebuilding that happened is like made weird stuff happen. So it's like, oh, this area now is where the second story of that building was because we've built like again. It's like Athens,
Yeah.
right?
Where it's a
There's
city
like
on top of a
there's like
city on top of a
7
city.
Athenses underneath the current Athens.
Yeah.
There's at least a whole Edinburgh underneath current Edinburgh.
Lovely.
So now we're going to talk specifically about Mary King's Close.
Okay.
So like I said earlier, the closes were often named after a person
Who lived
there. So this one is named after a woman named Mary King, who lived there in the 17th century. I put it, okay, yeah. She lived there in the 17th century. She was a merchant in her own right, which is kind of crazy for the era. And so it was named for her after her death.
Yeah.
Before that, we don't know what its name was. It had been around for a while, but it is known as Mary King's Close. So this close was kind of in its prime in the 17th century, so the 1600s, when the city was at one of its most crowded points before it was able to start like, okay, now we can build more out.
Yeah.
We're building up instead of out.
Before out.
And so we've got a lot of people wedged into a lot of places. The close would have been wedged between towering buildings that housed people, businesses, craftsmen, and workshops. It would have been a very busy, busy space. Prior to the construction of Edinburgh's prosperous new town in the 18th century, there was a definite hierarchy in where you happened to be living in the old town. The high houses dwelt were the rich and prosperous, so they were up higher in these houses. Sometimes they had a couple of stories to themselves, so they would have like 2 floors of this complex that were theirs, and they would have servants to cater to their whims. In the low houses were the poorest people, usually at street level, in overcrowded, unsanitary conditions where disease was rife and rapidly took hold. This is where we get to our opening word, which is Gardyloo, which is a thing that you would yell out your window
Before you dumped your chamber
before you
pot?
dumped your chamber pot. It means watch out for the water. And so the close, the floor of the close, good thing that they were on the hill
Stanky.
because
Stanky rolls down the hill.
it goes down the hill, down out of your close. But at any point, your stairs that you're climbing, because it's on an angle, would be
Poo-poo.
filled with waste, which is not the not norm in Europe at this time. Like that
Right.
is what the norm was.
Yeah.
That was what the conditions were. And it was pretty standard. You emptied your pot in the morning and in the evening, and that was it. So you knew kind of what time to not be on the road.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what?
Sorry, I just imagined like, oh, you on like, I don't know, the 3rd story go at the same time as somebody
Above you.
and you happen to holler Gardyloo at the same time and don't hear the other person and then you get
their potty
you
dumped
get-
on you.
You get potty all over your head.
Right.
I throw myself out a window.
Yeah.
I was like,
no
it
more.
was not funny like haha, it was funny like that would be horribly
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unfortunate.
I
That is not the right year.
throw myself out the window.
I too would be like, I need to die.
I'm done.
Okay, I know what year
I
that's
don't
supposed to
need
be.
more.
I wrote the wrong year. Okay. So, plague, cholera, and all manner of horrible disfiguring
Shock.
and fatal epidemics and
Shock.
diseases were rife.
Aw.
In 1644, the plague broke out. So, remember when we talked about the plague yesterday? And I was like, crazy.
Crazy.
Here comes the plague.
Here comes
again.
the plague. It's not the Black Death because it's 300 years after when the Black Death swept through Europe because it's in the 1600s. But the plague broke out and spread like wildfire through the closes of the old town and wouldn't die down for 2 years.
That's a long time.
This plague would kill somewhere between 1/5 and 1/2 of Edinburgh's entire population because they were all living in the same
So
area.
dense.
So dense. The stones of the close would have been slick with sewage as the
And
population
body
would toss.
fluids.
Yeah, as the population would toss their pots morning and evening. The hill of the city meant that the waste would flow down and out of the populated area, but it was still something you had to walk through and watch for. So the close, this specific close, it's like there's Now, if you go visit, it encompasses a couple of closes, but this specific one was partially demolished and buried due to the building of the Royal Exchange in the year 1753, and then later closed to the public for many years, though people were still living there at the time. There just wasn't business operated out of it. And then the area became shrouded in myth and urban legend. Tales of hauntings and murders abounded out of it. And then in 1897, Andrew Chesney, who was the last resident of Mary King's Close, was given a compulsory purchase order for £400, purchasing his dwelling and business from him. And he would eventually leave the close in 1902, so 5 years later. And then after that, no one lived in the close again. So now the close is entirely underground, and it kind of gives people catacombs vibes, and they're like, oh, so these people lived underground. And it's like, no, it was not underground when they lived here. It got buried to build the chamber building above it, and then to build the Royal Exchange, and then to build, and then to build, and then to build, and so now it's underground.
Yeah.
But it was not underground, and in fact, all that remains is pretty much the first story of most of the buildings that were there, because they're underneath other buildings. It is currently operated as a tourist attraction by a company called Continuum Attractions. They do historical tours, and they also do ghost tours, and they do a ton of stuff. Like, I'm frustrated that they don't have more information on their website of the history and that kind of stuff accessible before you go. They have a map that you can look at online that kind of shows you where you'll walk through. They have some information, but they don't have a ton. But I would go if we were in Edinburgh, 100%. They do all kinds of special events. Like, they have I think they had like a women's history tour when I looked. They have a Pride Month tour that they do where they like talk about queer history in Edinburgh. They talk about the plague. They talk about people who were underprivileged in that time and how it affected them differently than it affected the wealthy people. Like, the way that they present themselves on their website is that they're a very, very good, like, cool company. They just are like, you have to come to the tour, which I get. But I live in Texas.
Right. I get to a point, but you can also get the people who are going on the tour and are not going to read online are going to be the same.
Right.
The people who want to read online are still going to go on the tour.
Right.
They're going to have better questions if you have more information online.
Right. And so the way that it seems like they run the tours is they are doing a first-person interpretation style tour. So they are one of the people who lived in the close.
That's neat.
And
I'll forgive them because that's very cool.
And they're in costume, and it's a very intense, like, not intense, it's a very interesting tour from what I can read online. There is not a ton of, like, stuff to look at. It is a very storytelling driven tour because there's nothing in there anymore. But it's the whole floor plan of...
It's a lot of word pictures.
It's a lot of word pictures, which I love.
Yeah.
We have a podcast.
We have a podcast.
So now we're on to ghosts and...
Oh.
So today, if you visit, you are going to an attraction called The Real Mary King's Close.
Okay.
Which it's called that because it encompasses Mary King's Close, Allen's Close, Stewart's Close, and Pearson's Close. So it's like kind of 4 of these alleyways. 3 alleyways and then a secret internal one that also existed. That's because...
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because layers.
So the main big ghost... Do you want the big ghost first, or do you want the, like, generic haunting stuff first?
Your call.
Let's do the generic haunting.
Okay, we'll do generic haunting stuff first.
And then give us the big ghost.
Yeah. So light phenomena was seen in the close as early as the 17th century.
Oh. That's not that shocking.
So yeah,
for Edinburgh.
They've been seeing all kinds of weird shit in this area since
forever.
they built it. Typical phenomena associated with residual residential hauntings and places of business. So doors closing, footsteps, chatter, tools banging, etc.
Yeah.
Well, and how would you know the difference? It's so populated.
Right.
Until it was empty, how would you know any different?
Right. As well as what could be expected of a plague house is what people are experiencing now when they go in. Coughing and sneezing and moaning and weird smells and all that kind of stuff.
I would not. Blech.
Yeah. are like that's the like generic haunting stuff. It's
Not-
all exactly what you would expect.
Not a clairalience that I want to participate in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we have
When
Annie.
Annie.
So the biggest haunting is that of a young ghost named Annie. She first became known in 1992 when a Japanese psychic visited the close. The psychic's name was Aiko Gibo. She didn't experience much as she was going through, but she went to go into a room off of Allen's Close. So it's like Mary King's Close. I think Pearson's Close is the middle one, and then Allen's Close is like the other like bookend. So off of that close, she could barely enter the 17th century room because she just felt a lot of pain and unhappiness in that room. She said, "There's a child beside me. Her little hand is clutching my trouser leg. I can't go into this room. She was separated from her parents. She wants to go home and see her family. Her desires haunt this place very strongly."
How sad.
Yeah, like super bummer. Eventually, she was able to cross into the room, and inside, she communicated with the spirit near the fireplace. She said her name was Annie. She had lost her favorite doll, and she was heartbroken. So Gibo went to a shop on the Royal Mile, bought a little doll, and brought it to Annie.
Yeah.
Gibo stated that the doll apparently brought comfort to Annie, and said, so long as the doll remains, the room will never be again disturbed by her spirit. Like she promised, like I won't cause a ruckus.
Yeah, I'm not gonna cause big bad vibes.
This I got straight from the website.
Okay.
Over the years, we have researched Annie's story. Although we haven't found a reference to a child named Annie in the history books, it doesn't mean she didn't exist. The closest link would be the unnamed daughter of Jean Mackenzie, whose name was recorded during the plague in Allen's Close, which would make sense if she's lost her parents in the plague and she survived, right? So ever since that first doll was left by the psychic, a growing number of people have brought Annie dolls, toys, all kinds of stuff, and they leave them in Annie's room.
Yeah.
It became like a huge deal. First responders leave their badges everywhere from New York to Newark Beach, all over the place. People are leaving stuff for this girl. Unfortunately, on the 17th of April in 2019, they received a somewhat panicked radio call from one of their guides informing them that Annie's doll was no longer in her usual spot.
Is that stolen?
They initially thought it might have fallen amid the pile of donated toys. Unfortunately, after searching the entire site, the doll is nowhere to be found. So listeners, if you are ever in Edinburgh and you find the doll or you're online and you are shopping, they have nicknamed her Tartan Barbie. She's not a Barbie. But there's a picture of her on their website. I think if we can put one on the Instagram and stuff, we will. If you see that doll online,
buy it.
Or there's a hashtag. Hang on. There's a hashtag that they want people to use. Let me see if I can find it. About story of Annie's doll. It's like one of the only things that's on their thing.
That's such a bummer.
It is.
I can't believe somebody would steal something.
Okay, so I forgot this part. Following the disappearance of the doll, we did a little digging into the history of the toy and uncovered some interesting facts. Once the news spread, we got a whole load of questions about the doll. We always knew it wasn't an official Barbie, but coined the nickname of Tartan Barbie anyway. So was it a Cindy? Was it a mere knockoff? What is it? No, we actually discovered that it was, in fact, part of the Daisy Doll airline collection designed by the iconic Mary Quant, fashion designer. She was an influential spearhead in the 1960s London-based movement for the youth fashion scene. There is a picture of Tartan Barbie on their website that we can lift to post. And I'll post what the hashtag is in the description if you find the doll. Because they really want this doll back because she's going to be real sad because her doll's gone. So that's the content.
Wow.
So now we're going to do some reviews.
Okay.
We're going to do bad ones first so we can end on a good note.
Okay.
Great.
Most of these bad ones are people who are just don't like history tours. 1 star from Andre D, October 2025. Very, very expensive for a 45-minute /1H tour. You don't really learn anything. It's not scaring. Just boring overall, to be honest. I wouldn't recommend. The tour guide was very nice, but the project is awful. Really waste my time there. If it turned into horror maze, escape puzzle, it would be nice. Something more enthusiastic.
No.
1 star from Carl, February 2026. We had a child with us and made sure to heed the advice on the website. In no way is this appropriate for kids under the age of 8. Instead on focusing on the history of the closes, Edinburgh and local history, there was a large portion concentrated on the plague, and I found it to be completely unsuitable for younger children. There's so much better things happening in the city, especially from a historical context.
Okay.
The plague, which is an incredibly important part of Edinburgh's history.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You can't go through the history of a city without
Talking about the plague, where a fifth to half of the population died.
Like, in 300 years, you're not going to be able to go through
anything without
today's
talking about
historical sites
Without talking about the
pandemic.
COVID. Yeah. 1 star, Alejandro, December 2025. Tour of the old tunnels, but with little common thread. You barely see anything, and almost everything is stories that tell you about how you lived there. I wouldn't pay to get in again. Okay, those are the end of the bad ones.
Okay, great.
5 stars from Dan.
Yay, Dan.
Good job,
Yesterday.
Hell yeah, Dan.
If you're visiting Edinburgh, the real Mary King's Close is an absolute must. But what truly made the experience for us was our incredible guide, Amber. From the moment
Good
we
job,
stepped,
Amber.
my friend Amber, not really. From the moment we stepped off the Royal Mile and descended into the underground streets, Amber completely transformed the atmosphere. She didn't just rattle off dates and facts. She was a master storyteller. She has this rare ability to blend historical gravity with a touch of wit, making the lives of the 17th century residents feel incredibly real and immediate. Why this tour stood out. Authenticity. Amber stayed perfectly in character without it ever feeling theme parky. Her passion for the city's dark history felt genuine, and she handled the more somber aspects of the plague years with great respect.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Deep knowledge. It's clear she knows these closes inside and out. She fielded some pretty obscure questions from our group with ease, providing context that you won't find on a Wikipedia page out of the review because there fucking isn't any information on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Atmosphere. Her her pacing was spot on. She knew exactly where to let the silence of the underground speak for itself and when to hook us back in with a gripping anecdote. The close itself is hauntingly beautiful and preserved, but it's the guides who breathe life into the stone. If you can, try to get on a tour with Amber. She's an absolute credit to the team and made our trip to Edinburgh truly unforgettable.
Excellent.
Pro tip, wear sensible shoes. The original 17th century paving is authentic, which means it's also quite uneven.
I love this
I
review.
love that.
What a good
Great
review.
Great review, Dan. That was excellent.
5 stars from Jay Chong. Yesterday.
Amazing.
I wonder if they
Is
were
it
on the
also
same
Amber?
tour.
Maybe. Does this one say it was with Amber? I don't think I pulled another one from Amber. This is the last one. So yeah, this is Lewis is their guide. Absolutely loved this experience. It was one of the highlights of my time in Edinburgh. I've done quite a few tours in Edinburgh, but this one was definitely my favorite. What really stood out was how well the history was explained. The way they explained it really helped you imagine what life was really like. The tour takes you through the underground, and each space had its own story and history. Our guide, Lewis, was brilliant. He explained what life was like back then in such a fun and engaging way, especially when talking about how people lived there, the plague, and the history behind the vaults. It was informative, but never boring. Nice. They also have a nice gift shop. I picked up a book about the vaults after the tour. They take photos inside too, and you can have them made into prints or small souvenirs like keyrings or magnets, which makes a nice little keepsake. Overall, it felt authentic, slightly eerie at times, but in the best way. Definitely the best tour I've done here.
That's excellent, and
Great
I love
job.
hearing about the gift shop.
So one of the things that I saw in a lot of the reviews was that you aren't allowed to take pictures down there, and that they will take a picture of like your group, not like your whole group, but like your party. But then that picture costs money, and people were like, "I already paid £24 to get in here, and now I have to pay £20 for
It's
a
only
print."
£24.
Yeah.
£20 might be a little bit expensive for a picture,
but that was like if you're getting like a print of the picture. If you're getting like a keychain, it was like £6.
okay,
It's like $6 for a keychain.
yeah, that's fine.
That's not with your picture on it.
yeah. That's £30.
Yeah, I'd do that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I want to go to there.
I want to go to there.
I would like to go to there.
Yeah. So that's all I've
But
got.
it's also very much the style of interpretation and like just like
right.
that's we're into that. Like that's
Yeah.
the kind
Right.
of thing we are into.
There was another like bad review that I didn't want to copy the whole thing because most of it I was just like, oh my God, you're insufferable. But one of the things that they said was like, there's nothing to look at. Like maybe put a table with some wooden bowls on it or something. At least give me something to look at. And it's like, how will that help your interpretation of this space? If they say there's a table with wooden bowls on it, can you not picture that in your dumb little brain?
Picture it.
You
can do it.
You've seen a period piece about the medieval era. Picture it.
You can do it.
You
I
got
believe
it.
in you.
I believe in you. Yeah, there were so many people who were like, media literacy is dead and so is imagination apparently because they
Yeah.
were like, I need something to look at. I was just listening to people talk for an
I would
hour.
be thrilled.
And
Are
I
you
was
kidding
like,
me?
I would love to stand in an underground room that was somebody's house and they go, imagine if you will. And I'm like, I'm with you.
I'm with you. I'm imagining.
I'm imagining.
I will imagine.
I do will, and I am imagining. Anyway, that's
Very-
all. That's everything.
Very good job.
Excellent.
Until
I
we
would
go
like
to
to go to
there.
there.
I would like to go to there. I want to learn more about to there. So,
Yeah.
and I would like to go on the tour because it sounds dope.
Yeah.
Like everything that they've got on their website sounds really good. One thing that they do have is they have flexi tickets. So if you're doing a bunch of other shit in Edinburgh and you book a ticket for a specific time,
Uh-huh.
You can call and say like, hey, I'm not going to make my tour. Can I move it to the next one?
Mhm.
And if they've got space, they'll move you to the next one because
Yeah.
you bought a ticket. Basically, your ticket, if you buy that kind of ticket, it's a little more expensive. It's good for the whole day. So you can kind of move your tour around if you need to because there's a bunch of other like walking tours and stuff in Edinburgh to do.
Yeah. So if something runs long, you can
yeah.
hop on the next one.
They do have a gift shop online. So they've got a lot of plague doctor stuff. They've got books. They've got Christmas stuff. Yeah. So they've got
Super
that
neat.
online. And then if you go to their website and you click on the What's On tab, that will tell you like what signature things they're doing right now.
Oh, cool.
So like right now they are doing the signature guided tour because that's all the time. They're always doing that one. It's an hour-long tour that runs every day of the week.
Yeah.
They are open every day. They have the Closes and Coffee tour, which is exactly what it sounds like. That is also every day of the year.
Very good.
They have Dr. Arnott's Sampling Sensation, which is you can uncover the secrets of 17th century medicine with Dr. Arnott's Sampling Sensation as you become one of his students and concoct your own herbal remedies.
That's fun.
That's also every day of the year. They have a plague tour that goes through the end of April.
Okay.
That one is only on Fridays and Saturdays.
Got it.
And it's called Contagion and Carnage, the plague tour. And then they have a Dram of History whiskey tour, which is
fun.
also only on Fridays and Saturdays, but that goes through the end of May.
That's very fun.
That's neat.
And then they'll have things like, there's another page. I'm just going to go through all of what they got going on. They have a true crime tour.
Fun.
That is in June. They also have the Pride History tour, which is only on, it's on one Saturday that they're doing it.
Okay.
But it's at the end of June. They have the Myths and Legends tour in September. They have an Underground Unlocked, which is about like you can just go and explore.
Okay, so it's like an unguided.
An unguided tour. So that one, the way that it reads, because I read about this one yesterday when I was piling more shit from their
Perusing.
website, because I was like, I need more information, please. They instead of having a guide, they have people in each room.
Oh, they're stationed. It's
And so it's more like you are uncovering the stories as you walk through the space.
Okay.
They have a nighttime tour in October. That is
For
a
Halloween.
lantern tour. So that's at nighttime.
Spooky.
So those ones start at 6 all the time in October. There's a Victorian Christmas experience
Oh, how
in
fun.
December. So
we could
That's a
find
fun
something
one.
in any month. That
yeah,
we like.
they have specialty tours every month.
I love that.
Excellent.
So yeah,
Very
Fantastic job. I learned everything.
I think that's all you need to know about Mary King's Close, unfortunately, until we get to go to there. And then we can tell you so much more.
Yeah.
But it seems like a really neat place. It's got cool history. It's from it's from that kind of weird middling era where it's like not old, but it's also not like the Victorian or like the late 1700s. Like the 1600s are a weird time period.
Yeah.
And that's like the prime of this place. So yeah. I think that's it. I think that's all I got.
Nice.
That's everything you need to know. We'll see you next week. I do know what we're doing. I was going to say I actually don't because this is the last one of the recording session, but I do know what's coming because we recorded it early.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
This podcast is for weirdos.
Are you a weirdo?
Thursdays are for the phenomena.